If you've forgotten or you wish to find the correct bevel angle for your skew, having drawn the line on the wheel, rotate the tool around in the SVS multi-jig, lock it in place, and you will see on the guide here we have arrived at 20 degrees in this example. Don't forget to record that on your recipe sticker and put it on the ferrule of your tool. So now we've trued the stone with the TT50, we're just going to soften the edges of the wheel very slightly, put a small radius on there. The reason for putting a radius on the edge of the stone is to remove that sharp edge, because even after some experience, if you're not careful, you can fall off the edge of the stone while you're grinding, and this of course can put an irritating little scratch into your sharp edge, which just means a little bit more work to remove it. So by putting a radius on here, it's a softer flow if we happen to come off the edge of the stone while we're sharpening. And don't forget, don't go near a diamond wheel with this. Make sure you use the coarse side to do this, not the smooth side. The smooth side, of course, is softer, and if you're not careful, you can put some lines that are unwanted on the surface. So simply take the coarse side and gently roll the stone over the edge just until you see that it has a soft corner. I'm not trying to produce a big round, just soften that edge. A few seconds is all it takes, and we're done. Once you've sharpened your tool at the given recipe, you will have a bevel all the way from the tip of the tool to the bottom. So it's custom now to put a secondary or even a third bevel on that surface. To do this with a bowl gouge, we simply take the SVD 186 and slide this to the back, therefore allowing the tool to be pushed further up the stone. But with some of the shorter tools, we find ourselves a little bit closer to the stone itself. So what we're going to do here, my recipe for this tool is jig setting 2 at 55 on hole B. That's my sharpening angle. So to give us an easy reproduction of second or third bevel, we're going to take it from 55 up to 65, just protrude the tool a little further. Then we're going to sharpen the bevel. Try and use as much of the stone as possible. And if we want to go even further, we will go to 75. And hit a third bevel. To customize this yourself, if you wish to have the angle back even more severely, then you will choose your own protrusion and go even further beyond the 75mm protrusion. We've talked about honing the bevel that we've sharpened, but a lot of us forget that the inside of the flute or the surface of a scraper perhaps is also best sharpened. From manufacture, it is ground, not polished always. So let's address that. Very simply, put a small amount of honing paste on the leather honing wheel. I'm bearing down on the universal support arm as a kind of anchor and just putting the tool in the flute, bringing it backwards, not past the top of the wheel, and just polishing that away, fair amount of pressure until we are happy we have honed the inside of the flute. And the more you do that over time, you will have less work to do because it will become polished. It makes a big difference and it's really worth doing. So with the skew, starting off on the other side, rubbing on the bevel area, slowly, and you can hear that it's rubbing, slowly bring it down so the sound almost disappears. And don't come past that edge. You'll have a beautiful, polished, sharp tool. With a scraper, we don't hone the edge because it's never going to be in contact with the surface. But we do, however, hone the top. This is, if you think about it, all of this material is our future edge. So we're going to put our honing paste on the wheel, lie it down on the top, not coming beyond the very top of that surface, pull it back towards us, and as you can see, and here, we're really getting that surface polished. Gently back to the edge. As soon as you hear that noise, you've come to the point where you should not go any further. It'll make a big difference to how this tool performs. When the leather strop is glued to the surface of the wheel with this splice, it arrives nice and flat. But after some use and the amount of pressure we're going to put on it, some of you may find there's a little kind of clonk, 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 which doesn't really harm anything, but it can be annoying. Simply take around a 180, 120 grit abrasive block, being careful to avoid the edges, and just perhaps circular motion, remove the small burr that may have been lifted on the leather, and it won't annoy you anymore. It's pretty easy really. Honing will not only prolong the life of your tool and give you the better edge, it will improve all your work. And it's often that I actually find myself going back and honing between sharpenings, because there's no need to remove any more steel. I can just bring that edge back to the mirror finish I've been using and get the finish that I want. So I often hone 2 or 3 times between my sharpenings. So again, we're sharpening, not shortening. Fantastic. Occasionally, it may be necessary to clean the rubber drive wheel here. It becomes a little burnished or polished just from the environmental dirt around us when we're working. It's very simple to take a sanding block, maybe 120 grit, or if you don't have a block, just some 120 grit sandpaper, and just lightly abrade the surface, and this will give the grip back so that when the pin engages, we're all ready to go with no hold-ups.